get a lot of offers accepted. Is there one
Yeah.
thing that when you write your offer that is really like, is it your communication? Is it the way you craft an offer? Is it how you
Yeah.
talk to your clients and prepare that? Give me what is the secret?
I mean, I know how to write a winning offer for sure. I also think a lot of it is like how you present the offer. It's also like this goes farther than you think it would. It's like your reputation as an agent.
Welcome to another episode of The Last One Standing. Doing over $1 million a month as a real estate agent, that is game changing. I am joined by Haley Serna, who has gone from doing a few million a year to consistently over $1 million a month. Haley, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Of course.
But before we jump into the blueprint on how to get there, let's tell me a little bit about how you got in the business. I know we first met 7 years ago and you were in the business for roughly a year. And the first deal that we were on, we had a mutual friend, but you actually almost lost it. So I know that the first deal fell through, but then you ended up closing them. And now, I mean, I'm just super impressed to where you came from then to now, and you're just absolutely crushing it. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you got in the business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So so I started real estate in 2017. My career before that was in fashion merchandising. I worked for American Eagle in Pittsburgh, and I honestly didn't really like it very much. It just like it wasn't the right fit for me. So I was looking for something. I had always wanted to do something that was commission based because I felt like at my old career as a buyer, I wasn't getting paid based on like how much you're hustling and like how much
Yeah.
work performance exactly.
Yeah.
So I felt
Right.
like I was working really hard and wasn't necessarily being rewarded for it. And I hated the idea of like having a ceiling on my income. Because as somebody, the most successful real estate agents are obviously like self-starters, very highly motivated people. I felt like I had like room to grow and having, a salary just like wasn't cutting it for me. So I wanted to get into something that I always thought I'd be good at sales, but I never wanted to get into sales that was like salesy. I
Right.
wanted to do something that was really more of like service, providing a service, helping in real estate just like checks so many boxes because one of the things I love about my job is like you are helping somebody through a very exciting time. Sometimes it's stressful, sometimes they have family members who have died, sometimes it's divorce. There are so many emotions and like you can be somebody who can help make it really smooth and like genuinely help people. And that's what I wanted to do. So it's kind of like service helping people, but also like obviously, when the money's good, it's good. And
Right.
so
Right. Right.
when you work hard, it does pay off. And then kind of like the third component that I have now just started to see the last couple of years is like a role as a mentor and educating other agents and more of like a leadership role. And that's something that I've come to love like more than anything else now. Um, but obviously I think like when most people get into real estate, it's because like they like houses and they like design and blah
Right.
blah blah. And like I always did like all those things. I always felt like I had a good eye. I always was organized, but it kind of just took like a lot of things I loved and like some of the gifts that I felt like I had and combined all of them. And so it's been a really good fit.
I mean, I, I like that you got in there because you want to help people and it's service based.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's literally like the biggest transaction or the biggest investment people
Yeah.
make in their lifetime. And you are the key component to getting them the house that they want. And I mean, I've done many deals with you and we've had ups and downs and
Yeah.
we've dealt with all kinds of problems, but
So many.
yes, so many, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is very rewarding, right? Especially when you get like that first time home buyer into a house and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, like I've helped these guys find their first home and then they come
Yeah.
to you for their second home and then they send their friends. And I think that's what is so rewarding about the business. And I mean, you said it right. Like you can't just get into it because you like houses or you want to make money. You have to want to help people, be in it for
Yes.
the right reasons, and the money comes. So,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, so how much did you do your first year
My first year,
in
like
volume?
full year, I think I did like 5 million.
Okay. Which
Yeah,
is
so it was
great
like
for one first year.
it was. Yeah, it was like I would say it took me a couple months to get my first sale, and then probably in the first 6 months, I probably had like maybe 4 or 5 sales. And then like the next half of the year, I started to get a lot busier. But honestly, like for me, it was sink or swim. Like, cause I left my job at American Eagle and I was working like a couple little like side jobs here. I didn't like really have another way to make money, but I was young and my living expenses were cheap. I had a roommate. Like I was still on my parents' health insurance then. So like I
Yeah.
had, I was set up, you know, to have like a lower cost of living. So I wasn't as stressed out if like I had a bad month, I had some money saved, but I also like obviously wanted to do well and like start to save and I had goals and stuff for my future that I was planning on. So I was like very, very motivated, like right from the
So
get-go.
were you nervous though? I mean, you jumped in from like a salary, well, kind of salaried plus commission job to straight commission. I mean, like, were you nervous at that point or?
No, not at all, because I had like a weird ending with my previous career, and so I actually got a really nice severance package.
Oh,
So
great. Well,
that
That helps
so
bridge the
that
gap a little
helped.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but so that took me through like the first 6 months. So it honestly like I couldn't have asked for anything more because I think that's the hardest part is like how am I gonna support myself and pay for things. So I had a little bit of a cushion that way. So I wasn't really nervous because I saw other people doing it and I felt like I don't know, I was just like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Like how hard could it
Right.
be? And I don't know, it like for me it was like not an option to like not make this work out because I had invested so much into it.
Right. So,
And
okay.
I
So
also
first,
like, oh, sorry.
no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
What were you
I
saying?
was gonna say, and I also like honestly wasn't interested in anything else. Like I would go on, like Indeed or like career websites to look at applying for jobs, and I was like, I would literally never do any of these jobs. I hate everything else. So
Well, I
this
mean, I think it's
was a good
funny
fit.
that you're like, I want to get into sales and I like commission because there's no ceiling. Because I think a lot of people, especially like now in the market, are scared of that, like the commission only
Yeah.
stuff. But you actually seek that out. You're like, I want,
Yeah.
and you made a good point. It's because you don't have a ceiling, right? So
Yeah.
like, there's a reason like that you have a salary and those salary jobs pay a certain amount. It's because that is a ceiling. Like you'll never make any
Yes.
more than that. And to some people that's boring. Like how could you,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you get your 2% or 3% raise, but that's not for everybody. So I mean, I think that's interesting how you were like, I want to do sales. I want to get out there and crush it and not have a ceiling. That's great. But
Mhm.
walk me through like your first year. So what did you do to get business?
Um, I did like a ton of open houses. Like I
Okay.
think any new agent, like you have to do open houses because it's a numbers game. Even if I would do sometimes 10 open houses in a row and not meet a client, but then I would meet one client and then from that client I'd get a referral for their friend and then from that client one other friend. So like when I look at my business over the years, like I've never sat down and done this, but I've always thought it would be like cool to do like basically like a spider web
Yeah.
of like or like I guess I think I'm more like tree roots kind of like where people branched off like who referred who because I mean I've had some clients refer me to like 5 people and then those people refer me to their friends and so it's this crazy web and so it really is one of those things like it started small but I just treated every single transaction every person like you know with care and did the best job I possibly could and it did pay off because like even if you have to do 3 months of open houses to get one client I honestly am still getting business in some way if I could trace it back to open houses I did maybe my first year of real estate which is
So
kind
that's
of crazy.
interesting that you say that because I think a lot of people like don't want to do open houses because it's on the
Yeah.
weekend or it's
Yeah.
it's during the time where you want to like kind of be with your friends and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's tough
It
to
Yeah, it is tough. And I don't do them now personally. Now that I have a team, my team members do
right.
it, but I love giving them those opportunities to meet people. Yeah, I think open houses, and honestly, like the biggest thing that I still do and that I did when I started is like literally just be like social and go out and meet people. Like I'm from Cleveland and I went to John Carroll, but I'm not from the West Side. So moving to Lakewood, like I had never lived here. I knew some people, but I didn't really like I wasn't really part of the community. So like I got involved, I joined things, I met people, and that has been like the base of my business this entire time is just people I meet at book club or the yoga studio or the spin studio or through triathlon. Like I just got involved in the community and like met so many people that way.
I always say that's like the best thing you can
Yeah.
possibly do in this is network. So let me ask you this though. So when you're and I want to back up a little bit. So when you're at an open house or hosting an open house, like how like most I work open houses with some, I don't do it as much anymore, but just like you, I was working open houses too as on the
Hmm.
lending side. But sometimes I see agents like they're just like sign in. Like, so what do you do at like an open house to get business, to get clients? Like, how
Yeah.
are you interacting with them? So kind of walk me through that.
So I feel like and everybody does it different. And I think like the typical training for an open house is like have everybody sign in, like follow up with them. And like that never worked for me. I never liked that. It felt, like I said, when I got into sales, I didn't want to be in salesy sales. Like
Salesy. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to always be like a soft sell and like focus more on like genuine connection with people. So like I literally have never made people sign in if like they come in. I guess I always just showed my experience and that I knew what I was doing and I felt like I would represent the house well. And sometimes it was my listings and sometimes it wasn't. But um, I honestly feel like with open houses, if you can meet someone at an open house and just like convey professionalism and knowledge of the market, like if I'm doing an open house in Lakewood and somebody comes in and I'm talking to them about the house, I'm talking to them, oh yeah, I sold that house over there and it sold for this much and that house went straight over. Like now they're like, oh, okay, she knows the market. She has sold in this area. So like I, for me that works better is like just exhibiting my knowledge and then it's like then people will be like, oh, can I have your card? So like either honestly like sometimes they just ask or I'll be like or sometimes I'll hand on my card and be like, if you have any questions, follow up, or like here's a flyer with my info on it. And that's always worked for me.
Yeah. So I think having that conversation with them instead of just, and I think that's tough. I mean, not a lot of
It
people like
is.
talk to strangers, right? And it's hard to like relate to some people, but having that conversation and showing that you are a professional in the industry and you know what you're talking about when it comes to the market, I think yeah, that's definitely huge. Um,
Yeah.
so the like when you talk about your referral, like we were talking about that spider web, right? Which I think
Yeah.
that'd be an awesome visual if you could figure that
Yeah.
out. That's
It would
sweet.
take me like weeks, I feel like,
But
but I would
I
love
think it would actually
to.
be worth it to be honest with you
Yeah,
because
honestly, my
so what do you do with your client base? Because it sounds like that's where your business is coming from is
yeah.
referrals. So, what do you do to work that spider web of people or to stay in contact? Because it's a lot of people. Like, are you sending like a
Yes.
yearly birthday card or like tell me what you're doing that you think is really working?
I feel like I don't do a very good job and it's something that I would like to focus on more. They always talk about like when you get to a certain level of business, like working like on your business versus in your business. And I feel like
Right.
I'm very much like I get very caught up with transactional stuff and day-to-day stuff, and I'm trying to like take a little bit of a step back and like focus on the higher level. Like that kind of follow up. We do like house anniversary cards. Like I'm pretty good about doing that. I do like pumpkin pie drop offs every year, but I can only do those for people who bought in the last year because
Right.
otherwise, I mean, I physically wouldn't be able to do it. So I do that, and I just really like I just check in with people. Sometimes I'll go through and like look at past transactions for the last year and like I'll just text a bunch of people and be like, hey, how's the house? Send me pictures. And because I genuinely like want to see like their updates and what they've done and make sure that they're happy there. Um, I like do a lot on social media, and if people post pictures of their houses, I'll comment on them, or if people have babies, send them a gift or send flowers. Like I do try to do stuff like that. I feel like there's always more you could be doing, and I am not an expert at it by any means, but like I do try to connect with people. And
I think
honestly,
that.
like, oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I
No,
was
go,
gonna
go,
say,
go.
and and honestly, like I've made friends with a lot of my clients too. Like, and some of them are like already friends, or with mutual friends, or they're also like a John Carroll alum or something. So like I'll see people like all the time who I've worked with, but I honestly have met like some legitimately like good friends of mine through the process too, which is fun.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So like when you So you said, I want to kind of drill down on the networking part and, getting your name out there. So when you're out, out on the town or out drinking or out, running, because I know you run a lot, and you're in those, probably in a running group too, I'm assuming,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So like, do you just tell everybody you're in real estate? Because how else would they know? Like, how do you
Um,
reach that conversation? Like, how do you, like, hey, I'm Haley Turner, I'm a realtor, or does it just come up? Because if you don't know, no one's ever gonna, you know, reach
yeah.
out to you.
I feel like it just comes up. Like, also, well, I drive my Howard Hanna car too, and I feel like that's a good
That helps.
starting point because people always ask about it. I mean, I have people who ask me at the gas station. Like, it is
Really?
definitely,
Okay.
oh yeah, like I've passed out my card many times at gas stations, and
Oh, that's
I can't say,
interesting. You think these
yeah.
these car magnets they work?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I don't like necessarily like random business, but if
Yeah,
you wanted to do that, like yes, people do. They ask all the time. It's
that's
kind of
interesting.
funny. Yeah. So that's kind of one. But no, I think just people, especially like with running stuff, like when I've always like when I train with people, like we always chit chat and you just get to know each other and it comes up, people ask what you do for a living and honestly like I feel like real estate, everyone always wants to talk about it. They talk about their house and what they've done and, ask about the market. And so like I think people are always interested in it. Whereas like sometimes I talk to my friends about their jobs and I literally don't understand what anybody does. And so I think real estate people
That
actually
is
find
true because
interesting.
everyone owns or rents a home, right? I mean,
Yes, they can
there's
relate.
something, yeah, there's something you can relate to. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like every conversation you have, like as soon as you start bringing up real estate, you're like, oh, like the inventory is so low, these houses are so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's always something to say, right?
Yes,
But
there is. Whereas like my friends like, oh, I'm in software tech sales and I'm like, I don't know what you do. I'm sorry, I don't.
oh, what'd you do yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah. What
That's
is
where
your
that
day to day
conversation.
like?
All right. I think one thing that you do really well, and it seems like you concentrate on this, but I don't know how much business it actually brings you is social media because
Yeah.
I see posts every day.
Yeah.
Um, so
It brings a lot.
okay, so I want to talk to you about that. Like, how important do you think that is?
Very. Yeah. It's very important. I wish I could not do it, honestly. Like I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I wish I could just like turn off social media and and more in my personal life than business life, which I guess people do that. But for business, it's so important. I could never not have it because, I mean, I constantly am getting messages from people. Like, if I had to quantify it, I would say maybe like a dozen people like reach out to me. Like more people reach out than that, but I would say maybe like a dozen that like lead to closed sales every year. That's kind of like a
That's
rough
great.
estimate.
So, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
and they're good, like good
that's
leads, good
that's
buyers. And
$60,000 there, or 100 grand, or whatever. That I mean, that's a lot of money. Yeah,
yeah, and they're almost always like they're such solid leads because we always have mutual friends. Or it's like, hey, I started following you a couple years ago and my friend bought from you and I've just been, kind of like following what you do. And so they're always like the best quality leads. So that's why I think it's so important and why I could never give it up because I don't think you have to like post every single day or post like like really intense market updates or some people do a really, really good job with it. And like I wish I could be like more informational. But again, it's like one more thing to add to the
right.
list. So
Yeah, we all can get better at something. I think it's
yeah,
just
exactly.
I think it's just doing it, to be honest with
It
you.
is
Like
doing it,
we
just
all
staying in
get
front
in
of
our
people.
heads. Yeah, everyone gets in their head and they're like, oh my God, like I have to be the most perfect person to post on social media or start doing this or start doing that, or just like this podcast that I started. I'm like, I'm going to be complete trash at this, but I'm just going to start it and see what
Yeah.
happens. But I think that's like same thing with social media. It's like just start posting. Like
Yeah.
post, like why are you not posting the house that you just got your client that's a first time home buyer? Why are you not posting that?
Yeah.
And it takes as easy as like I see you have your people hold your signs. It's sold by Haley Turner. Um, and it's just as easy as that. And you put a
Yeah.
little thing in there, like congratulations to the clients. And I saw you did one, like, was that last guy you did like a social media influencer? It was like a
Oh
thousand
my
likes on
gosh.
it. I was like,
I know.
whoa, what the hell is
He,
this?
yes,
So
he is. He,
I looked
I,
at it and I was like, holy shit. I was
I
like,
know.
either Haley's like
No, it's all
Instagram
him.
completely blew up. I mean, you still get hundreds of likes, but this was like, I think you posted it in an hour. This thing had like a
Yeah.
thousand likes.
Oh my gosh, I know. So he posted, I went over to their house last night. They got this gorgeous house on the east side. I went over
Yeah.
to their house last night and he posted that when he like, now they do that thing where you can like invite a collaborator. So I
Yeah.
just clicked accept and it was like boom, 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 boom. So he's an attending physician at Cleveland Clinic and he
Oh,
has like a
sweet.
whole, yeah, so but he has this whole side business with like test prep stuff, like for I think
I
medical
started
students.
watching his social media
He's
after that.
amazing.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
he does an amazing job like with his videos and he's he's an amazing physician, but he's also like a very smart businessman. So it's cool to see how he's kind of like grown his following a lot.
He has a lot of good informational videos. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he
scanned
does.
through, and I'm not a physician, but it seemed like he knew what he was talking about.
He does, and I feel like the way he like creates the videos and stuff is like I wish I could do stuff like that because I honestly feel like I have so much knowledge. I would love to be able to just like, put out these informational videos. It's just like, it's a matter of hours in the day.
So would you, so if you were to do like informational videos for social media, would you be educating other agents or buyers or both? What do you think? Which route would you go?
Oh, I could go both because honestly now, I mean, I always love like educating buyers and sellers too, like, how to
Yeah.
prep your house. Like my favorite thing to do is to help people, and I'm not just saying this because you get double commission, but I love doing like a sale and a buy for the same person
The
because
commission's nice, but
the
yeah.
commission's nice, but it's so confusing. Like people are like literally they're so flustered and they're like, I don't know what to do. And every situation is different. Some people can buy first, some people have to sell. Sometimes we get in these really crazy time crunches. And I love like the different intricacies and being able to be like, okay, here's all the facts, here's what we have to do, and like coming up with a plan that's smart. Um, because then you can like just help alleviate stress and like make it a really smooth deal for somebody on both ends. So that's like my favorite thing. So I love educating people about that. But I mean honestly I love like educating other agents too. One of the things like my team and I have been talking about a lot is just like quality of agents and co-brokes. And we just had like some rough deals this year with like these really inexperienced agents. And I'm not saying like inexperienced like they're new or like anything like that. It's just almost like people who, you have your license, you sell maybe one or two houses a year and like they just aren't with it and they're just like not
So
good partners.
can you tell us like without mentioning names, but can you give me like a story of something that happened or an example,
Ugh.
just a recent one that you can think of that pops into your head?
I mean, I have so many. I think the biggest thing honestly is communication.
Yeah.
Um, when people have other full-time jobs, I'm trying to get stuff done during the day. Obviously, as realtors, we work a lot of nights and weekends, but like I don't always want to be doing that. So I'm using business hours during the day to get transactional stuff done. And like if I can't get a hold of you because you're at your other job, like that's very frustrating. And so I think just the communication thing is hard when you have partners who or like one of the things that like Jordan and I have been getting really frustrated with is like we feel like this has happened many times where an
Is
agent
Jordan one of your agents?
Jordan's on my team, yeah,
Okay.
where it's like rush, 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 get your offer in
Right.
now, and then like 2 days go by
They
and we're
don't
like,
get back to you.
yeah, actually that reminds me, I need to call someone right now because I was like rush, rush, rush yesterday, and like now I still haven't heard back,
And
and
then it's
it's
just like, yeah. And then you're like, where the like
yeah,
you made me put this offer in immediately, and then I don't
yes,
hear from you for 3 days.
yeah. I mean, like I
And
have
then they'll
literally,
email you and be like, sorry, we accepted another offer. How
yes,
frustrating is that?
yeah. I'm like I pulled over on the side of the road in my car and typed this up. Like, come on.
So like do you because you're obviously a listing agent too, but do you
Yeah.
like when you get in those situations, like do you communicate, do you call everyone like if their offer gets turned down, or do you send an email? Like what is the proper way to do that on an agent? So I know sometimes you get 15 offers and it's hard.
Yeah.
Like how do you call 15 different people or whatever? But
Yeah. I would say I try to call sometimes if I've been texting the agent and text
yeah.
is appropriate, that's fine. Um, but sometimes a call is really important, especially if someone was really close and just like put it all out there and like you need,
Yeah.
I always try to give reasons because I appreciate that when other agents do that. It's like help me help my clients. Like why did their $50,000 over asking price offer with a 20K
Right.
bridge not get accepted? Please help me here because it's so frustrating. So
It
I
is
always
right.
I try to help other people in that situation because it's like I've been on that buy side so many times and like I know how annoying it is.
Well, you're super buy side heavy. I mean, you run a ton
Ugh,
of buyers,
I don't
which
want
is
to be.
that's a lot of work. I know, but you're really good at it.
Thank you.
But you get a lot of offers accepted. Is there one
Yeah.
thing that when you write your offer that is really like is it your communication? Is it the way you craft an offer? Is it how you
Yeah.
talk to your clients and prepare that? Give me what is the secret there?
Um, I mean, I know how to write a winning offer for sure. I also think a lot of it is like how you present the offer. It's also like, and goes this goes farther than you think it would. It's like your reputation as an agent. Like, because I know if I'm on the listing side and I get two offers that are identical, and I know this one agent and, he or she closes lots of deals in Lakewood, they're familiar with Lakewood Homes, and I have another agent from Canton writing an offer for a client, I'm going to push for, the agent that I know and that I
Because
know
you
is
know
like
the transaction is going to
reputable.
go quickly for your for your
Yes.
for your sellers, which is important because that's
Yeah.
you're representing the seller. You're like, and it's not because
Yeah.
you like that agent. It's like I've done
No.
business with and you present both offers, and you're like,
Yep.
I've done business with this person. I know that they are dependable. I can get a hold of them,
Yeah.
just like you said. Like if you're a part-time agent and you got a full-time job, and I can't get a hold of you from
Yeah.
9 to 5 every day, like when I need stuff done or need to get inspections done, I mean that's rough. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
how you sell a house like that, but yeah, like that's true. It's like you're going to present the offer that you're sure is going to get done. So
Yeah.
that comes back to your networking and knowing people, and
Yeah.
and
It
when you
it's
get in a transaction, you're friendly with the other agent. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. Like
yes.
I don't understand why agents fight. What does that accomplish?
Nothing. I mean, honestly, and it's yeah, and that's just going back to like like not burning bridges and
Yeah.
like this offer yesterday that I'm still trying to get it accepted. My clients, hopefully this works out because I put a lot of time into this one. Like my clients actually wrote an offer on this house a month ago and it didn't work out. And
What?
we were not happy the way things went down with the communication with the agent and stuff. But instead of like, calling the agent up and being like, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Like I kind of just swallowed my pride and like let it go. But now
Yeah,
he's come back to me a month later and been like, we want to
that's
offer.
great.
Like, are you people still interested? So it's like if I were to have burned that bridge and like said something, they might not have gotten that chance. So yeah, it's networking, it's your reputation. And I know that listing agents have like stuck their neck out for me before, and gotten my clients' offers accepted, like if they're apples to apples. And I would do the same for somebody, like if I trust them and if they have proved to be a good partner.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think that's worth a lot.
it's such a delicate. I just like it drives me nuts. It's like we're all trying to get to the finish line.
Yes.
Nobody gets paid unless this sells, unless
Yeah.
this house transfers. Yeah, like no one's gonna get paid. The lender doesn't get paid. The agents don't get
Yeah.
paid. Why are we fighting? Let's come up with a
Yeah.
solution
I
and
know.
get this thing to the finish line. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you need a 3 day extension, and then you start getting threats like we're gonna pull the offer. It's like, I mean, why?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
there. Like sometimes at the end things happen, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But again, it's real estate. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That drives me nuts on my side. But
Yeah.
and
I
I
can
see it like
I was gonna say like exactly what you said, like we're all on the same team. I must say that like 10 times a week. I'd
really.
be like, yes. And I feel like
Why is
as
that hard to understand though?
I don't know. I feel like I use these, as a runner, I feel like I use these running analogies a lot. Like we're almost to the finish line. We're all on the same team. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm like, I feel like a
So like, do
coach
people
sometimes.
like? I think people get into it, and I don't know if it's inexperience or what, but they like feel like they have to be like this hard nosed negotiator, and they have to be like, I need this done now or else. But it's like, no. I mean, you get
Yeah.
further with just being like, here's what we need to do to get to the finish line. I
Yeah.
appreciate your patience. What
Yes.
can we do to work together to get this thing there?
Yeah.
I mean,
But
that's it.
you know what? The biggest part of that though is like setting realistic expectations with your clients. And
Sure.
that is like the number one, like communication and setting realistic expectations. That's like those are the two biggest things you can do. Um, because number one, if you communicate, no one's ever going to be upset about you, literally for anything, if you just communicate exactly what is going on. And if you set realistic expectations, like this is a good example to the seller, hey, your house, you're accepting an offer $50,000 over asking. This person does not have an appraisal bridge. So do not be surprised if the house doesn't appraise, you're going to have to drop the price. Are you okay with that? And if they say yes, they're not going to
Genius.
get mad at they're not going to get mad at you when the house under appraises and they have to drop the price.
I mean, it's just a lot of good information and a lot of good value
Yeah.
you're providing. So it's like, I mean, I could probably go on for another hour and grill you with more questions.
I would love that.
Well, I'll get you on again in the future, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about something else, because obviously the industry is changing for you guys immensely
Yes.
on your side. Like, this is going to be a path that we're taking, that agents have not been down before, where stuff's going to be changing, and you can't get well, you could still possibly do it, but like the actual buyer may have to pay their agent with the new
Yeah.
rules that are coming out, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to I want to just end on this stuff, because obviously this is huge in the industry right now.
Yep.
Right? Are you like, is there any way that you're preparing for this, or have you seen this start to happen yet? Because I mean, I have an agent right now that is charging their buyer's commission
Yeah.
because the seller wouldn't pay it. So I'm already
Yeah.
starting to see it a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it yet, or if you're starting to prepare for this, or what your feelings are moving forward. Do you think it's going to like be a big problem, or I'm just curious on your thoughts?
I think, there's always like changes in our industry and people always like freak out at first about every little thing and then it will become the new norm. This is normal in other states already. Like we're just a little bit behind. Um, so I have already started doing this, like having people sign like buyer exclusivity agreements. To be honest, like I still feel a little awkward about the whole thing, but I think once I get past my own like just feeling like, oh, am I worth this? Like, if I ask them to pay for this, like, that's just like something I need to retrain my brain to feel comfortable about. Um, I actually feel like it might allow me to transition from like being more buyer heavy to like focusing on listings a little bit more. Cause I actually think like now I'm like buyer, 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 because sometimes like well, number one, it's easier for me to procure buyer clients, but sometimes the buyer comps aren't as good, and so you have to do more versus like with listings, like we can pay ourselves a little bit more on listings. So I actually almost feel like it would allow me to potentially like take on less clients and like really focus on them a little bit more. Depending on like, I mean, every agent will probably decide to charge something else as like a minimum commission. But I mean, I'm seeing a lot of 2% in the MLS. So that is a conversation like I've already had with my clients. Like if there's a commission that's less than like what I have established as like my minimum commission, um, yes, I have had conversations about them paying me the difference.
You seem like a fight, like you just like how you got into the industry. Now your back's against the wall on this. You're like, this is gonna force me to be a listing agent. So you're like a fighter.
Yeah,
You're like, let's go, let's go.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're
And
ready. Like, you're not gonna just quit. Like,
no, and you can't be afraid of change because like there's been so many changes like in our industry, and I haven't even been in it that long, but like when I talk to agents who've been in it 30 plus years, it's like crazy some of the things they tell me. Um, no, it's gonna change, but you know what? It's gonna like I do think it'll kind of like force out some agents who um maybe can't have those conversations or are like really heavily relying on like the little leads and stuff. Um, that is like what I'm most curious to see is like how can somebody who's getting Zillow leads get somebody to sign a buyer exclusivity agreement?
yeah,
Like
I
that
don't.
doesn't
I think
even
that's
make
gonna be
sense
a
to
waste
me.
of time. I think Zillow
Yeah.
lead and those lead agencies, like, I mean, I think that stuff's going to be a waste of time. I honestly do. I don't
Yeah.
think it's because you're just going to be chasing people. You're almost
I know.
like you're going to be spending so much time on that, and it may seem like you're getting somewhere, but you're better off doing the grassroots stuff like you do, like networking, getting in a group, doing stuff in the community. That's going to be big. That is
Yeah.
everything in this industry. So I think we're at a point where things are changing, but I feel like it always works out for the better. I mean,
Oh,
it's
it
something's
does.
gonna work out where this is gonna be better. I don't know what it
Honest,
is, but I just have that
yeah.
feeling.
Well, I'm happy because I can't tell you, like, it happened to me so many times where I've, not had exclusivity agreements and literally, lost clients or had people go buy
Yeah,
houses like without my knowledge or,
it hurt.
like
It
random.
hurt.
Oh, it hurts deeply, especially
It
like when
hurt.
you've literally, I mean, I've literally like, given people 40, 50 hours of my time and then all of a sudden you're on Instagram and you're like, oh my God, they bought a house with someone else
I
and it
I have given
it
people
hurts.
years and pre-approvals, and
Oh,
they'll
I'm
write
sure.
offers with my pre-approvals and then say,
Yep.
"Sorry, I'm using someone else."
Yes.
I'm like, "You
Yeah.
didn't even give me a, you used
Oh,
me."
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it is
it does
tough,
hurt.
but that's the
Yeah,
industry we're in. Well, I'll let you
it
go. I
is.
know you're super busy, but for everyone watching, Haley Turner, if you're looking to buy a house, if you're a
Haley
buyer or
Serna.
seller, yep. Sorry, Turner's the last name, Turner.
It's okay.
I know
Professionally, we're
you, the
still Turner
majority of our
Serna.
time together has been Turner. So it's just
It
drilled
is.
into my head.
It's new.
Um, yeah. So, um, well, congratulations on being married. But and
Thank
then if
you.
you're looking to join a team, she's also got a good little team going. If you ever are curious, reach out to Haley. She's
Yeah.
great at educating her agents. Has a great support system. So thank you, Haley. I
Yes.
appreciate you coming on today. It was super fun. And hopefully
Yeah.
we can do it again in the future.
Yeah, we'll chat more. I feel like we just skimmed the surface.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, this could be hours. But all right,
So
Haley
good.
Serna. I'll see you later.
Cool. All right, I'll see you later. Bye, Dom. See ya.